Hi Algebra. Today we're just going to jump right into your worksheet and do a bunch together, and that'll shorten up your assignment too. So we're dividing polynomials again. Remember when you're dividing a binomial by a polynomial, like in this first one, you just divide all the pieces by the second piece. These ones are really quick, so we're going to divide both of these by 4x. Super easy, right? That gives you, 5 over x, right? And then the second piece gives you plus 3. And that's all you have to do for that one. Let's do one more quick one. Notice here's another one, right? Dividing both pieces by 3n. That leaves you with 6n on this one plus 2 on this one. So you'll fly through those first ones, no problem. Notice all the way through 5 and 6, you're just dividing all the pieces by that bottom piece. You've got a monomial on all of them. So I'm going to fly ahead to number 7 here. Remember when you're dividing a polynomial by a binomial? You just factor the top number, the first number, and then cross out what you can. So this first one would be, let's see, x minus, we need to add it up to -5. So x plus minus 6 and x plus 1 would do that for us. And this bottom one's just x minus 6. So then notice we can cancel out these pieces. That leaves us with just x plus 1 over 1, or in other words, x plus 1 for 7. Okay, then I'm going to let you know when you get down to number 11, I'm going to draw like an imaginary line right here for you. When you get down to number 11, some of these will work out using the method that we just used here on number 7, where you can factor the top one and then divide, but other ones will not. Here would be one example of where you know you're going to have to use long division. Let me show you why. Notice if I try to do this by just factoring it, right, I'd get h minus 3, h minus 3. Those would multiply to give us to 9 to add up to 6, but notice there's nothing I can cancel out. And so I realize that, ooh, this one's going to have a remainder. I need to use long division to solve this one. So if you do that and you factor and you're like, there's nothing I can cancel out, what that means is this is one you're going to have to use long division to solve. So let's do that. I'm going to write my division box here for number 11. You might have to use a separate sheet of paper unless you can squeeze it all in. H squared minus 6h plus 9 divided by h minus 2. Now remember, I'm only going to look at this number here. I want to make that h squared disappear. So what should I take this first part times? Shouldn't I take it times h, right? So let's put an h right here, and then let's multiply that h times my side number over here. So I have h squared, good, minus 2h. Okay, now I'm going to subtract. That cancels this out, cool. Then I have -6 minus 2h. And so we have to add 2h. So we get -4h plus 9 if I pull this next number down. Okay, what should I take this h times to give me -4h? Shouldn't I take it times -4, right? So that gives me that -4h that I wanted, sweet. Okay, and then I need, and then I have, I take that -4 times -2, and I get +8, right? And so if I subtract these cancel out because that'd be -4h plus 4h, right? And then 9 minus 8 would give us 1, right? So there's our remainder. So remember how you write your remainder? At the end, you put plus 1 over h minus 2. So there would be your full answer for that one. So that's how you know if you have to use long division or not. If you try this method first by factoring the top number and then comparing that to the bottom, there's nothing you can cancel out. What's happening is it means you're going to have a remainder, and so you want to use the long division method. So let's do another one. Let's do 13. Let's see if 13 is one where we have to use the long division method. Let's test it out first. So if I look at 13, I can try to factor it, but I can't think of anything that multiplies together to give us this that would add up to this middle number. And so right away I notice there's no way I can factor this one or do it the quick factoring way. So right away let's jump to long division. So here we go. We're going to put this first one inside the division box. Y squared plus 6y. Sorry, that's a y. Plus 1 divided by y plus 2. Okay, so I'm just going to look at my first number here. I want to make that y, right? Y squared, so I'm going to take it times y. So I end up with y squared plus 2y, but I'm going to subtract those. So these cancel out, right? And then I have 6 minus plus 2y, so in other words, minus y, so I get 4y, right? Bring down our plus 1. Okay, if I want to change this y into 4y, I take it times 4. Okay, and so I'm going to do 4 times y would give me that 4y, and then 4 times 2 would give me that 8, right? So notice I've got this canceling out, and then 1 minus plus 8. So in other words, 1 take away. So I get -7 as my remainder. So I'm going to write that at the end, -7 over y plus 2. And there's our full answer. Okay. And then one more reminder of things to watch out for. On a couple at the very end, you're missing a term. Do you remember problems like that? You should always have all your terms. So like this one should have n to the third, n to the second, then n, then minus 2. So remember, if a term is missing when you divide it, let's just put this right here, you fill in that term to the 0 power. So you'd put plus 0n squared, right? We don't have that, minus 6n minus 2. So don't forget to fill in those missing terms. I believe number 20 is another one. Yep, that's going to have a missing term, and that might be the only other one. So watch out for that on number 20. All right, then let's just to finish this one off and divide it. So notice if I want to make this n into n to the third, I'm going to take it times n right here, right? So that would give me, actually n squared, excuse me. So if I take that, I'd get n to the third plus 1n squared, right? So I subtract those, this cancels out. I have 0 minus plus 1, so in other words, minus 1. So I have minus 1n squared. Okay, I pull down my negative 6n, and I ask myself, how can I change my n into n squared? So I'm going to take it times, or negative 1n squared. So I'm going to take it times negative n. So that gives me negative n squared, or like negative 1n squared, and then minus 1n, right? And so if I add these together, notice these cancel out, okay? And minus, sorry, I put a plus sign there. So negative 6 minus minus 1n, in other words, plus 1n, I get negative 5n. I pull down my negative 2. Now I ask myself, what do I take this n times to get negative 5n? Minus 5, right, is what I'd want to take it times. Okay, and so that gives me negative 5n. That's exactly what I wanted, right? And then negative 5 times negative 1. Or positive 1, excuse me, gives me that. So we're going to subtract here. These cancel out. Negative 2 minus minus 5 gives us plus 3, right? And so that's our remainder, 3. So plus 3 over n plus 1. Hopefully those long division ones are still making sense. So again, when you know you need to do long division, if you try factoring this top polynomial and you can't cross anything out using this bottom binomial here. If that's the case, you want to move on to long division, and it means you'll have a remainder at the end. Watch out for number 20, as you'll have to add a missing term like we just did here. But I think it's going to go really well today. You guys really surprisingly, really not surprisingly, you guys have picked things up so quickly all year. But it was something brand new. I knew it might be a little bit of a challenge, but you guys seem to have picked it up really quickly. Don't be afraid to reach out if you need help on any, but that's a whole bunch of them for you to really get you going. And as you can see, other than these long division ones, the rest of the problems go pretty quickly. Have a good day, guys.